Your plan for getting a mining job. WA is opening up. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and today I just want to do a quick video about the WA opening their borders and the sort of plan that you should have when you're trying to get a job. So before you jump in the car and start driving across to WA, you need to have a plan about how you're going to try and approach it and where exactly in the industry that you're going to try and get a job. Now, with what we do on this channel, it's all about underground mining. So if you type underground into Seek, you'll see all the jobs come up, and you're looking for the nipper, the truck, offsider jobs. And there's lots around. Everybody's having to look for people. They want experienced people, but those are very thin on the ground for truck driving jobs, as it's the least paid, or it's one of the lower paid jobs in the crew. So that's why it's entry level, along with the nipper and offsider jobs. But there's lots there. So if you're trying to come across to WA, then you really need to get a plan together about how you're going to try and approach it and where you're going to go. Are you going to go to Perth? Are you going to go to Kalgoorlie? Which employers are you going to try? What are you going to offer them? And, what exactly are you jumping yourself into? Because, whether anybody likes it or not, we're in a proper boom at the moment, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I've never seen one quite like it. Normally when we hit a boom, it's only 1 or 2 metals that go off. At the moment, there's at least 5 different metals that are going off, that are all at very high prices, which means that mines are trying to up production, which means putting more people on, or they're trying to open brand new mines around the world, and especially here in Australia, because we've got so many differing resources and so much availability, and we're such good miners. So there's a lot going on here at the moment. Now, getting into the industry when it's in the middle of a boom presents its own problems. Unfortunately, when you get into these conditions, training becomes a bit problematic. It becomes sink or swim training, unfortunately. They hire the people before they train them, and then they train them on site, and they see who survives and who doesn't. Now, that's one of the biggest things that I think people don't prepare themselves properly for, is that sink or swim training. You get a lot of advice on the internet saying that you don't need to do anything, you just need to show up and listen. That's not really good advice, because there's so many scenarios that happen on sites, unfortunately, around the country, where you might not get somebody that's really good at communicating how they work, or how the job's supposed to go. You might get somebody that might have a personality clash with you, or not have a lot of experience themselves. And it's become such a problem with getting trainers on site that a lot of the larger companies are now doing longer inductions in the capital cities, like in Perth or in Adelaide, or wherever they're basing you out of, Brisbane or Townsville. I believe Orange is opening up a new training facility for Pry-Bar there shortly. They're opening these facilities up to try and train people before they can send them to site. And that's all well and good, and that works on a certain level. But again, it's only how well the person doing the training's dialed in and what they're actually showing you is going to be helpful to you when you actually get to site. Because, we've been down this path before. It's not like this is the first time that they've tried to do courses like this. And there's 5 little words when you get to site that, blows everything out of the water that you've supposedly learnt, at head office. And that is, we don't do that here. And you'll hear that. You'll get on site and you'll get down there and you'll been shown this is the way we want you to drive the truck and all that sort of stuff. And then you get put with somebody, and the first thing out of their mouth is, nah, we don't do that here, we do it this way. And then, that leaves you in a very precarious position, because you've only got the information that you've been supplied by the employer to go off, yet the person that's trying to instruct you on how to drive the truck at the moment is telling you, or the person that's instructing you on how to nipper at that particular time is telling you, no, we don't do it like that here, we do it this way because. And that confuses a lot of people, and it turns their head around. And the biggest and the easiest solution to, fixing that is knowing as much as you can before you go. And was one of the big reasons I got involved with this in the start is that the second shift bossing job that I had, for the first 6 months of it, the way it used to work was that if somebody got sacked, they'd normally sack them on night shift, and the day shift boss would have to drive them out to the plane and put them on the morning plane back to Perth. And to say on my day shifts that had become a regular occurrence was a bit of an understatement. And you can only drive so many people out to the airport before it starts to affect you. And you start wondering how you can improve things. And, you know, with a number of other people, we put our heads together, and it's this training package that we put together to try and prep you about how the hard rock underground industry works. And it's not just when you sign up for it, you log into your account, and I'm signed in as the mining coach here, and you just click on the courses, and it takes you to the main page. And as you work through them, you can have a look at them, and it teaches you exactly how the hard rock underground mine works from top to bottom. So it goes through all that, so you understand all that. It goes through scaling and surviving the first 12 months. The nipper one goes through all the nipper duties and, you know, watering down, which is a really important job. But it also goes through general mining information like cap lamp signals, refuge chambers, you know, pooled water, signage, isolation tagging, stench gas, self-rescuers, all the stuff that you've got to learn when you first get there, or you've got to learn when you first go, that, you know, sometimes it gets glossed over because they move through real fast to try and get you up and running as quick as possible. You know, it talks about the tag board, you know, information that you need to know about before going to work. It talks about pre-start meetings and how not to fuck your mining career up by opening your mouth in a pre-start meeting about a safety topic that you should have already brought up with the shift boss, instead of embarrassing your shift boss in front of everybody by bringing it up in the first place in the safety meeting. I have seen so many people over the years lose their job because instead of bringing up the safety matter straight away to the shift boss, they save it because they think they're going to get brownie points by bringing it up the next day in the shift boss in the morning meeting as the safety topic. And the first thing that everybody turns around to is they want to know if it's been fixed, and if it hasn't been fixed, they want to know why the person didn't notify the shift boss, you know, to start with. And all that does is make your shift boss look bad, and, you know, like I said, your days are numbered after you pull shit like that in the morning meeting. And again, you know, unless you get told about that, you know, you watch people do it time after time after time because they think they're doing the right thing by having a safety thing to bring up in the meeting rather than bringing it up at the time and getting it fixed in a timely manner. So, you know, there's shit like that all through the course, and it was designed so it was what a shift boss would want you to know before you came down the hole on one of our crews. And because you can go through all that, and it allows you to interact with all the employers, so when you apply for these jobs, you can apply with confidence and you can talk to them about, you know, what's going on, what's going to actually happen in the workplace. And when you can do that, it becomes a completely different kettle of fish in getting a job. And it's much easier to work your plan, to target the mining companies that are looking for people. And at the moment, I know people don't want to hear it. I know people want the big dump truck job on the surface. But a lot of those trucks are being turned driverless, and the people with experience that are left are jumping into the gold pits where they can't turn them driverless. But, you know, that they've got choices of experienced people, unfortunately. And if they're not taking on experienced people, they're taking on trainees, but they're taking trainees on a significantly lower wage. Most of the trainee jobs that go for 12 months or 2 years are only for $75,000, but they want you to do a 2-in-1 roster. I had somebody tell me the other week that a mate of theirs got a job in a coal mine on a 12-month traineeship, and when he worked out exactly what he was working for the hourly rate, it was only $1 above what the minimum wage was. And, you know, the mining companies, if they're in a position that they've got choice amongst experienced people, they will screw wages down. That's what they do. They're mining companies. Whereas if you're in the area of the industry where it's all expanding and there's not enough people, you know, they also put wages up. And that's what's happening at the moment in hard rock underground. And that's why I'm trying to direct, you know, people into that area of the industry, because you'll get a good 5 to 10 year career out of it before, you know, things top out. Because it's, you know, we're coming from that position. We're so far behind with what we need to get out of the ground for the electrical stuff, for all these EVs and all this green tech. technology that they're building over around the place, that, you know, nickel's at 35,000 Australian a tonne at the moment. That means that nickel mines at 12,000 Australian a tonne that were making 200 million a year, at 35,000 Australian a tonne, they're sort of making 700 million a year. And when you making that much more money, and you know there's that much more going on, you know, you don't mind paying people extra, you want to open more mines, and you want to keep the whole thing rolling. And that's what we're moving into. That's the period, the next 5 to 10 years. It's all going to be about nickel, gold, copper, and everything else that goes into these batteries that they want to put everywhere. So that's what, when I talk about making a mining plan, that's what I try and encourage people to do. Because if you come over on a wing and a prayer, if you just jump into their the mining company's inductions, especially for these underground jobs, you know, or the exploration jobs, the surface exploration jobs, the turnover is 3 and 5 fail in the first 6 months if you go in green. Now, with the training of the people that get jobs, once they've completed the training, you know, 95% of them make it past that 6-month mark. And that's why employers want people that have done the training, is because, you know, your chances are you're going to get somebody that's going to work out if they can answer the mining questions in the interview. We straight up with the employers, if you get somebody that's done the training and they can't answer the mining questions in the interview, you know, run a mile, don't hire them. You only want the people that have studied. The people that haven't studied aren't going to make good employees. So that's why it's on you when you do this to prepare yourself properly. If you do, there's a pathway there. But if you half-arse it, you know, there's also a great big way to crash and burn. So when you're trying to get into this, just give yourself the time to do it properly, make the plan and execute. And if you can do that, most people get a really good result. And if you do the training and you decide that mining's not for you, well, you know, that's a good thing, because you haven't wasted all this time and money. Like, I've had 3 different trips to Kalgoorlie, spent about 3.5 to 4 years there, and over the years I've watched a lot of people spend a fortune moving to Kalgoorlie only to last in a job for a week or 2 weeks, work out that they don't like it, or get sacked for some, you know, reason that they fuck up and they just lose their job, and then have to pack everything back up again and move back across, you know, the other side of the country. And I mean, that doing shit like that sets people back years. So if you can, you know, spend $450 doing a course that's going to let you know whether, you know, you're going to be into it or not, and if you are, it's a pathway in. That's a hell of a cheap way out of working out whether you actually want to go mining or not. Because at the moment, you know, hard rock underground and exploration is where 80% of the jobs are. If you're trying to hang out for an iron ore job or one of these coal traineeships, you know, you're applying with 10, 20, 30,000 other people, because not many, you know, most places and, you know, most advice on the internet will tell you to try and get a shutdown job or try and get your coal job or an iron ore job. Not many people will tell you to try and get a hard rock underground job. People are wired to think that that's where the jobs are, because that's where the jobs were sort of, you know, 10 to 20 years ago. But, you know, it's moved on. You know, the worms turned, and now the jobs are in hard rock underground and exploration. So I hope you find that information helpful. And like I said, you know, have a plan before you jump in the car and race over. And, you know, knowing how things work and understanding what's going on, being able to show the employer, you know, how their mine works, goes a long way to getting yourself a job. If you've got any more questions you want me to answer, send them through. If you can like the channel and share the video around, that would be great. And, you know, if those that are coming across, good luck. I hope you get the job that you're after. Thanks.